So I'm hoping that most of you know what I'm talking about when I mention Full House, right? The old classic TV series. Well, if you know what I'm talking about, then I hope you know who I'm talking about when I say Aunt Becky. Well, Aunt Becky, or Lori Loughlin, has recently been in trouble with the law, as she has been convicted of cheating her child's way into college admissions. Now, this has greatly affected her in the fact that she might be facing jail time and has had many acting roles revoked. But this has also greatly affected her daughters in the fact that they are getting threats and having their own deals, brand deals being pulled. This is greatly a part of my speech and the fact that it shows what the problems are with over-involved parents and the bad effects on kids that overprotective parents can have. So through my audience analysis, I have come to find that some people in the school might think they have overprotective parents or might know somebody who doesn't let them go out much, all that stuff. But my big reason is for the future. You all will be having kids one day, and I hope to show you the bad effects overprotecting can do on your children in hopes that you can avoid that for them to become good, independent people. I myself have thought that my parents sometimes can be a little too overprotective, not letting me make my own mistakes and learn for them. And I also feel very dependent on my family, which has made me anxious to leave off to college and be without them in the future. So throughout this speech, I hope to provide the problems that can develop in children from overprotective parents, some of the reasons why parents might become overprotective, and steps to help avoid being overprotective. So let's start off with some effects. According to Holly Schifrin in her journal, The Effects of Helicopter Parenting on Academic Motivation, she connected that college students with overprotective parents seem to have a decrease in well-being, as well as an increase in medications used for anxiety and depression. She also found an increase in neuroticism and interpersonal dependency. And according to Ray Sanchez in his news article, Stanford Rape Case, Inside Court Documents, he talks about Brock Turner, who, if you don't know, Brock Turner was a Stanford swimmer, privileged guy, was supposedly a great guy, who raped an unconscious girl at a frat party. This is significant to my speech as he was a privileged, rich boy with overprotective parents who got him to never been told no. So he didn't know how to take it. And this also goes with my speech as his parents, who should be backing off at the time a kid is in college, has helped him try to get through all of his mistakes he has made. Which also takes me back to Aunt Becky on how she helped her kids into college as well. Even talking with some of our high school teachers here in McPherson High School, they get multiple calls from parents a day talking about why their kid is flunking and how it's not the kid's fault. There's always some kind of excuse when in reality it's all the kid's fault. So now that we learned some of the effects of overprotecting, let's move on to what may cause a parent to be overprotective. One of the biggest reasons is, of course, the news. In the news, parents hear all about the bad things that can happen in the world, from kidnaps to murders to terrorists, all this stuff, which they can't control. This makes them feel their kids need to be more protected. And according to Robin Silverman, helicopter parents, why are some parents so overprotective? Parents need a sense of control. And they can't control these things that happen on the news, but they can control what their kid does, who they see, how they spend their time. Another reason parents might want to overprotect is to keep their child from making the same mistakes they made, which in return can affect them as they won't be able to make their own mistakes and learn for them and become independent. They also want their best for their children, which every parent does, and that's the right thing to do. But getting too over-involved in your kids' lives could hurt them, as, some of you may feel like, or hear the term, your parents are living through you or taking over your lives. And another reason is wanting to keep them young. Robin also said in his journal that parents want to keep them young to make them feel needed. As kids grow older, they become more mature and more likely to become more independent. So now that we learned some of the causes why parents might become overprotective, let's move on to the steps to avoid. According to Debbie Pinnis in her article, How to Stop Worrying and Avoid Helicopter Parenting, some steps to take are: 1, don't hover. Don't hold them back when they're old enough to do their things. When they're old enough to tie their shoes, have them learn to tie their shoes. When they're old enough to do things on their own, they should be able to do them on their own. Don't talk to their teachers. Let them struggle. Let them feel discomfort and pain, because those are all things that make them grow. Don't put worry on your child's back. You know there's many things like on the news you can't control, but don't force negativity onto them and scare them, because then they feel more dependent on you and less likely to go off on their own. Also, avoid making your child the center of your universe. Although you want the best for your child and everything, you don't want to surround yourself with them. You used to have your own life. You need to be able to go back to that old life, because your child is not going to stay with you forever. Also, allow your children to be different and disagree with you. Allow them to create their own opinion and live their own life. Don't have them follow in your footsteps or be a mini version of you, because then you're discouraging them being their own person. And also, don't let your children distract you from your own struggles. When you put all your life into them, you forget to live your own. And that's something that really forces you even more onto your child. So trying to avoid that is a good thing. So with this, I hope you realize that overprotecting is something that is more bad than good. So through this speech, I hope you learn the problems that can occur with overprotective parents, reasons why parents might become overprotective, and the steps to resolve being overprotective. I hope that if you feel like you're being too overprotective, to try and distance yourself and become more independent yourself, and I hope you take this into the future when you have your own kids. Allow them to grow up and protect them from overprotecting. Thank you.